Hello YouTube, it is Fancy Ellie. I am joining Transcending Origins on the Sunday spot, and I had talked to Jess, and she said that I can basically kind of take the topic wherever I want this week. And the topic that I'm choosing is mindfulness in transition. And I really feel this is kind of the main controlling factor in like the ease of our transitioning, and can also be kind of like the thing that if you don't really have it really working for you, it can be the thing that can have you become very depressed and like kind of have mental breakdowns, which I've seen so many transgender people have. And I think to myself every single time that I hear about it or see it, it's like there's got to be a better way to go about it than having a total mental breakdown. And I guess, I mean, it's just, as transgender people, it's very easy for us to actually get wrapped up in ourselves. And I think this kind of like stems from like, okay, we feel very dissatisfied with our bodies, and like we feel very jealous of like the opposite gender, the gender that we want to be. And we just, these are all like thoughts that cause us to be more in our own heads. And like, we just like in feeling jealousy, especially in feeling jealousy, you're like, oh, I really, really, really want that. And like that want, that desire just pulls you more and more in. And it can become very, very harmful. And it's like, so after we feel that, we feel like, okay, well, something is wrong with us. And this saying something is wrong with us, this validates this introspection that we do. And like, so we can always kind of turn back to it and say, well, something's wrong with us. That's why we're doing this. And this introspection becomes kind of a double-edged sword. We like convince ourselves of this whole like egocentric personal narrative thing that our lives are about us right now because something is wrong with us. And the reason why I say it's double-edged is because we kind of dehumanize others by doing this. It's like we'll get out there dressed up, and we'll be like, you know, this is about us. We are doing this for us. And then all of a sudden you'll get a little embarrassed because you didn't dehumanize them enough. You still view them as human, but you kind of put them in such a position where they still have some sort of say over how you're feeling validated. And I think, I mean, this can come out in a lot of negative ways too, because I've seen this happen with several transgender people. That's like, in coming out to like other people, they get pushy about it. It's like, this is me, accept it. And it can become very harmful. And I think the thing to really remember is that we're all looking for validation, one way or the other. I mean, if the people you're coming out to, they're looking to feel validated by their perspective on the world, and we're looking to feel validated in our perspective on the world. And so it's like, I mean, I recently came out to my dad, right? And then I came over to his house dressed up, and he told me I looked disgusting, right? But in essence, it's kind of like he needed to say that to feel validated with his perspective on the world. He felt uncomfortable. He needed to do something that says, you are right to feel uncomfortable by this. And so what he did is he insulted me so he could feel validated by his perspective on the world. And I mean, I think in the end, we got to really be seeking this more from ourselves than seeking it from others or from other people around us. And I know this sounds kind of weird because it's like we have to like be in our heads to really fix the problem, but like being in our heads is the thing that's actually causing the problem. And I mean, you know, whatever, this is getting kind of philosophical in nature on that account. Maybe we'll have like ice cold bath take care of that someday. But I don't know. I think something that really kind of helps it out, and will certainly help me out with all this, is seeking out other trans people out there and actually talking to them. Because when you have a sounding board, you kind of all of a sudden realize, oh my God, there are other people out there like me, and they're people too, you know. And then in doing that, you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, there are other people around me. And it kind of pulls you out of your head a little bit more by doing it. And then like I guess too is like as transgender people, we, especially during like the process of transitioning, we can hyper focus on it. It can become our world. It can eat us up from the inside. And I mean, honestly, this can happen with anything that you're hyper focused on. But I think this really happens with transitioning transgender people, is that we just get so focused on it and we forget about the rest of our lives. And I think the thing that really helps is to remember that like the transitioning process is not a quick process, no matter how you do it. Even if you have all the money in the world to actually do the transition, you're still going to have to come out to people. You're still going to have to you're still going to have to work out with your job or find a new job. I mean, it's a process, regardless of how you do it. And so, if you're actually a little bit mindful of that, and kind of realize, okay, well, I have this rest of my life that's going on as well at the same time, you can kind of pay more attention to it and like kind of have like little successes along the way to your ultimate success of becoming male or female, whichever one you want. And I really just, I mean, I'm guilty of this. That's why I bring it up primarily, is because I've lost a lot of perspective along the way here, and the way I kind of regain it is to pay attention to my life a little bit more, like maybe doing good on a homework assignment, or for people who are out of school, like doing well in the job, or just something that they can feel like, okay, my life is actually going pretty good. Because when the rest of your life is going pretty good, you can feel pretty good about like ancillary activities such as transitioning. And I know I'm going to probably get some disagreements on this, because it's like some people view transitioning as the most important thing in your life. But you got to remember that there is this whole other part of your life that you are going to be having to deal with after you transition, and you want to make sure that it's kind of viewing it as like an investment here, and kind of helping it out along the way, helping out the rest of your life along the way, so after you do transition, the rest of your life is still good and not shit. So, like, pushing out people that are happening to disagree with you about this is not necessarily a good idea if you ever want to socialize with those people after you finish transitioning. Or like, I mean, same goes with like your job or with school or anything like that. You want to make sure that your life is still very good. And so you have to be accepting of the fact that you are not the only person in your life, and that your life has a lot of elements to it that need balance. And I mean, I really feel that I am guilty of this, and I've seen a lot of other trans girls on YouTube that just get so wrapped up in the transitioning process that they can just drive their life to hell. And I'm saying all this in hopes that maybe it'll be impactful. I don't know. But that is it for tonight. I really appreciate you inviting me into the Transcending Origins thing, Jess. And for the rest of you guys, hello. And you can check out my Fancy Ellie channel. Yep, good night, YouTube.